AskReddit by Roix Duckett. What teen movie is the epitome of the older I get, the more I agree with the adult? Rewatching Scrubs, I realize I'm no longer a JD. I've become a Cox. Sadly, The Wonder Years. I always couldn't believe the dad was real, with his pissed off attitude from work. Now I understand. I'm maybe a year or two older than Fred Savage Kevin Arnold and looked a ton like him at that age, so he was like a weird alter ego when the show was originally airing. Now, married with 2 kids, my first reaction to anything is the dad's go-to line, "How much is it going to cost me?" Metamorphosis complete. I watched 16 Candles recently and I now do not approve of Samantha going anywhere near Jake Ryan. The movie Juno. Jennifer Garner's character is at first portrayed as a square, then you realize she's a mature adult and her husband is a man baby. I always praise Jennifer Garner's performance in that role and everyone looks at me like I'm crazy. She could have been really one-dimensional but her performance gives the character so much depth. This scene in particular breaks my heart. https://yahoo.be/4m4xyclog. Not a teen movie, but Father of the Bride. Watching it as a kid, Steve Martin seemed like an old grump. Rewatching it as an adult, holy shit, he is the only sane person in that movie. Deleted. Winnie the Pooh. Rabbit was never against playtime, but can you just not do it in his house or garden, you little hellions ? And Pooh is some frat boy who eats all of Rabbit's freaking honey. Rabbit hardly complains, oh my gosh. And then Pooh gets his fatter stuck in the door, and the whole village or whatever has to help him. American Pie. As a new father, I hope to be like Jim's dad when my little one is a teenager. Caring, loving and a complete embarrassment to them. Dude, Jim had the most chill dad ever. He literally walked in on his son fucking an apple pie on the kitchen table. What was his reaction? "We'll just tell your mother we ate it all." He not only was chill about it but covered for him. He's a fucking bro. The Mom in Ice Princess. So you have a daughter who has a talent for and seems to like physics and has a shot of getting into Harvard. This girl throws it away for ice skating where she has only been competing for less than a year, where if she gets injured she's done and when she reaches 30 she's pretty much done. There is no way she is at an Olympic level at that point, she would need years of training. Hell yes, I would advise against it too. Not to mention, she tries to get into it about 10 years later than she should have in order to train. Based on the reality of the competition she's up against, this was why I'm more likely to fail than succeed. Goob, Meet the Robinsons. Kid 1, hey Goob. What's up? Cool binder. Kid 2, hey Goob. Wanna come over to my house today? Goob, they all hated me. Not a teen movie, but in Family Guy, I used to think Peter was hilarious. Now I'm older, the scenes where Lois seems 100% done with his shenanigans, and where Stewie once said, emotionally, "Mom has already left you, I feel so awful for her." She got saddled with a man-child with the IQ of a lemur with brain damage, who constantly undermines and undervalues her. Hell, every TV nag deserves better. Not a movie, but Squidward do be making some good points. If I saw 2 idiots giggling in a cardboard box outside my house I'd call the police. Edit, who the fuck said anything about weed? Mr. Wilson in Dennis the Menace. Seriously, fuck that little miscreant and his parents that turn a blind eye to his shenanigans. Edit, thank you for the Reddit gold, kind stranger. Honestly, I never really felt like Dennis was a good kid at all. He was a little shit that stirred up trouble for Mr. Wilson and constantly tormented him. Like the menace is literally part of his name title. Though I did find it funny, but that's kind of irrelevant to anyone being a good person or who I align with. Not a movie but Hank from King of the Hill. I find myself saying that's asinine more and more with each passing year. Why would anybody do drugs when they could just mow their lawn? In Dirty Dancing, Jerry Orbach just wanted a family summer vacation and instead learned entirely too much about his daughter's sex lives. In the summer vacation system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups. The teenagers, who want to party and get laid. And the parents, who are tired of shit and just need a break. These are their stories. Done. Gene Wilder in original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Stop, don't, come back. I don't necessarily identify with him, but from the out I knew he was the good guy. Essentially he was a wrathful angel, smiting the wicked and rewarding the good, and Grandpa Joe, for some reason. Haven't watched the movies, but I assume that the movies are similar enough. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Bro, your mom just wants to stop being a housewife and have a job and you complain that she isn't in the house anymore to be your personal slave. When you get from school you don't even greet her, you just give her your backpack, you little shit. Do one thing in your life you fucking donkey. Did you ever thank her for anything, Gregory? Greg is funny and charismatic towards the reader, which, to kids, does an excellent job of obscuring the fact that he's incredibly self-centered and devoid of empathy towards any of the other characters. Deleted. Dr. Doofenshmirtz. He's just trying to do something right and being a good dad. The episode about Vanessa's birthday hits different when you're older. The context of knowing how much he was neglected as child and trying his best for his daughter in spite of that is pretty emotional. Sounds blasphemous to say about a movie I ideally love and pushing the definition of teen, but Animal House. If you've got a fraternity destroying a campus and members that are flunking out, the dean has to do something. And when he tells Flounder fat, drunk and stupid is no way to go through life, son, well he actually sounds concerned and that is good advice. The Julia Louis-Dreyfus character and her husband in Christmas Vacation. Every day, my wife and I are slowly turning into them. Rugrats. The parents were so young and just doing their best. I like it was a group of neighbors that were best friends too. I get really stressed out on their behalf now. Especially the one where Dee Dee just wants to make it home before her banana tree she bought died in the car but no one could get their shit together. Stu, what are you doing? Making chocolate pudding. It's 4 in the morning, why on earth are you making chocolate pudding? Because I've lost control of my life. Mr. Mosby from Sweet Life Dudes got it rough. He's just trying to run a hotel but these kids are hellbent on sabotaging everything, and to make matters worse they live there so it's daily occurrence. Edit, these comments have kickstarted my nostalgia. It's time to rewatch the show. He was also made London's babysitter for so many years. Don't think that's what he imagined when he started working there. Ariel's dad. That line with her saying I'm not a child or something along that kills me now. I agree with the dad since she is still a teen and a young one at that. Edit, I did want to mention I don't agree with King Triton on his actions of how he handled that situation. But more just that one statement of him and her fighting about her being a child. I admit as an adult it's infuriating when a kid actually says it and it's frustrating cause you know you've also been there and they just don't have a way to know better. But that one scene was probably the moment I realized my childhood was over when I agreed she is a child. Me at 8, this is unfair. Teenagers are old enough to make good decisions about their lives. Me at 18, lol, no we're not. Twilight, poor Charlie Swan. Dude was trying so hard to connect with his daughter after years apart. At some point he must have realized she was only sticking around in Forks because of some guy, and not because she wanted to be there with her dad. That would sting, especially considering he was on his own. When I was younger I rooted for Jim shenanigans in the office. The older I get the more I relate to Stanley and how he just wants to bide his time until retirement. Also Oscar, trying to be responsible and getting fed up with everyone for being childish dumb. Dirty Dancing. The dad was completely justified in not wanting his teenage daughter to fraternize with a creepy adult male camp dance teacher. This movie is the reason why I asked this question. Immerse. Doubtfire but relating more with Miranda than Daniel. As a kid I didn't understand why she lost her shit when she came home to the petting zoo. 10-year-old me thought Daniel was the best dad ever for that party. 30-year-old me thinks Miranda let him off easy after that mess. The principal and teacher in Mean Girls. They were just trying to do their damn jobs. I like that they were both competent, relatable, and nice adults, and not just reduced to some ridiculous stereotype. A lot of older teen movies do that. Pitch Perfect. Anna Kendrick's dad. Hey sweetie. Excited to get your college degree completely free of charge? Anna Kendrick. Ugh dad you suck. I'm gonna drop out of college and become a famous music producer. Anna Kendrick's dad. Okay. Cool plan. How about you do that after you get your free college education? You can even study music here. Anna Kendrick. No. I wanna drop out now. I'm gonna make it. You'll see. Juno 100%. I love that movie, then I rewatched it and holy shit is her relationship with adoptive dad is creepy AF. 10 things I hate about you. When the dad says you're 18, you don't know what you want. And you won't know what you want till you're 45, and even if you get it, you'll be too old to use it. Those damn Dawson's River kids, sleeping in each other's beds and whatnot. Immerse. Doubtfire. Miranda came home from work only to find her deadbeat husband hosting a party with wild animals in her home. During the divorce, he claimed he was unemployable. Then he dressed up like a woman with professional makeup, costume, etc. and watched their kids secretly and tried to kill her new boyfriend. What kind of maniac orders jambalaya when they are allergic to cayenne? Just rewatched a Goofy movie as an adult. Goofy just wanted to spend time with his kid. That was the whole conflict. Just go fishing with your dad, Max. You and Roxanne are breaking up before the sequel anyway. Edit. Since this comment is getting a lot of attention, I wanted to plug one more Disney film you all need to rewatch as adults. Recess the movie. Principal Prickly legit had me in tears you guys. Deleted. The Little Mermaid. I'm 16, I'm not a child. Listen here you little shit. Lilo and Stitch. My opinion of Nani changed entirely. I think it helps when you realize that she's literally a teenager, 18, trying to prevent CPS taking away the only family she has left while working and trying to be a mother to little sister who is a social outcast. Shit's rough. Rewatching The Simpsons and realized I no longer relate to Bart. I'm a homer now. I'm relating with Moses Slack more and more every year. I'm scared. Not specifically a teen movie, but I watched it as a teen, so get off my lawn. Top Gun. Maverick is the dick who can't follow rules and gets his best friend killed, yet Iceman is the villain for not getting up to hijinks and having an alive co-pilot. I just watched it again not too long ago and thought the same thing. Yeah, Iceman has an enormous ego, but they're top tier aviators. They all have big egos. At least Iceman was a badass while also having general considerations for safety. I'd fly with Iceman any day. Harry Potter. I used to think of Hermione as my role model. Now that I'm working as a school counselor, my role model is McGonagall. Edit. Wow, didn't expect this kind of reaction. And I got awards. I feel like Neville getting 10 points and winning the House Cup. Thank you so much. Even as a teen, McGonagall was the best. Do your homework, Charlie Brown. Uncle Buck. I have an opposite example, never been kissed. All the adults are sick fucks. That newspaper editor is one sick fuck to send an adult woman back to high school to spy on teenage activities. Josie, ever the nerd, invites her loser brother to pose as a student and make her cool. Both of them end up with teenage dates for prom. And what about that extra sick fuck coach that hires her brother Rob to be a coach after they found out he was posing as a teenager and hooking up with a 16-year-old? Obligatory, not a movie, but this is one of many reasons Calvin and Hobbes is so great. Read it at 7, you see yourself in Calvin. Read it at 17, you see yourself in Hobbes. Read it at 30, you see yourself in the parents. And it works phenomenally well on all of those levels. Not a movie, but Malcolm in the Middle. I used to think Lois was a horrible mother who overreacted about everything. Now that I'm older, I can see she is just an overworked working class mother with 5 terribly behaved boys. I used to think I wanted to be like Francis, but grew into more of a Hal, and I'm okay with that. Edit. I know at the end Francis turned into Hal anyway. I was talking about early Francis, the cool rebellious teenager. Bert from Sesame Street. Dude just wants to read a book and get some sleep. Revenge of Sith, with the adult being Obi-Wan, since he was the only actually mature and reasonable person in the galaxy. While everyone else was out playing Game of Thrones and opposed the Chancellor, he was capturing a war criminal and freeing Paz. Then, he got called in to clean up Anakin's mess. This is a good point. And once Obi-Wan got back and found out what had been going on, he was gobsmacked. Like, I've been out here trying to rescue people and track down an evil general, and you guys are out here getting pregnant and hanging out with a Sith Lord. And WTH were the Jedi Masters doing all along? The dark side clouds everything. Difficult to see. The future is no-sh-t. Not a movie, but that 70s show and Red 4 Man. The older I get, the more I realize that teenagers really need a foot in their ass. Growing up, I hated Red for being an unreasonable tyrant who wouldn't even listen to Eric's side of the story. I rewatched the series last year, and that man is a saint. Despite barely being able to feed his family, he agrees to take in an abandoned child. Not a movie, but the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Still maintain it's a great show. But as a teenager I thought the mother was just so annoying because Buffy had to save the world, but now I'm like, damn, her 16-year-old daughter is leaving at all hours of the night and telling her that she has important shit to do? Yeah, no. You're staying home and also probably going to a psychologist. Also, if my 16-year-old daughter was chosen to be a vampire slayer, I'd go to the Shadow Men and the Watchers Council and be like, take these fucking powers away from her now, because she's not going to be slaying demons. She's a child. Thanks. I just commented the same, but I'm a high school teacher and boy do I relate with Giles these days. Not a movie, but regular show. I remember how much I hated Benson for being a raging old man most of the time. Then as I grow up I realize that if I had a job like him and had workers like Mordecai and Rigby, I'd probably lose my mind too. This https://www.youtube.com/watch?vex7rz has 8g closed bracket scene made me feel so bad for Benson. He is like Squidward. Hate him as a kid, but when you're older, you realize he has a reason to be pissed off. Frozen. Elsa, 21, only had 3 years on Anna, 18, and yet still knew that marrying someone you just met is a bad idea. I never considered that scene could play out with Elsa as the bad guy to the younger audience. This whole thread was about which perspectives have changed for you. This is the first post that makes me wonder which perspectives I missed entirely because I have already matured past them. Mr. Belding because Zach Morris is trash.